Hello, this is Pastor Beth. I am coming to you to talk about a topic called Citizenship was Serious Business Then. Now it is only status or political agenda. So I thought about this as I was studying Acts 22, specifically verses 22 to 30. And this is where Apostle Paul and the Roman tribune was having an issue. And Paul is defending himself and Christ before the Jews. He was taken into custody in the temple, and it was here that the members of the tribune were deciding how to handle him and passing judgment on his offenses. Now, imagine being placed in a situation where your life hangs in the balance. These individuals were going to flog Paul. He was tied and stretched to commence with the judgment by man. When Paul opened his mouth and said to the centurion, "Is it lawful for you to flog a man who is a Roman citizen and uncondemned?" This was a turning point where conviction and reason met. The centurion then asked the judging tribune this question: "What are you about to do? For this man is a Roman citizen." So ask yourself this: why did the men of judgment not know that Paul was a Roman citizen? At this time, there were laws that protected citizens from unlawful acts or judgments. They could face the same judgment, and they were trying to impose on Paul. Now, they had to withdraw from these actions, and they were afraid of the repercussions. Number one, for holding a Roman citizen against their will without due cause. Number two, he was a legal citizen of Rome, with rights of a time being a citizen. Number three, they had bound him for the purposes of punishment without due process. The punishment may have been stopped, but he was not unbound or unreleased right away. As I study these chapters of Acts 22, I can't help but recognize the similarities many are facing today. Paul was seized because some were threatened by his actions and words with professing Jesus Christ as Lord. Now, look at January 6th, for example. There are 684 people being held without due process. They were seized because of presumed actions and words that were in direct conflict, or a better word is direct opposition to the coup making a move to secure the highest seat in the land. Think of it. 684 people. Have they been treated as citizens of the free country? Have they been cared for? Have they been given appropriate meals? Access to adequate health care? Medications? This number of people being held without charges is unconstitutional. It violates the laws of this free land. This equates to Paul being judged without charges and our own citizens being stripped of their unalienable rights. There's something extremely nefarious here. Who will open their mouths to tell our centurions that these citizens of the United States, the 684 people, have been stretched by chains and bound. Who will be the voice of reason that speaks and says, "What are you about to do?" For these people are the United States citizens. Why are the agencies holding our citizens not afraid of their own chains and judgment? A similar analogy comes to mind when Jesus was brought before Pontius Pilate. And we see that in Mark 15, verses 1 through 15, John 18, verses 28 to 40, and John 19, verses 1 to 22. Pilate said to the Jews, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own laws." The Jews then said, "It is unlawful for us to put any man to death." They say this in the open, but behind the scenes, they plot and deceive. Remember Paul? Then we all know what they did to Jesus. Pilate made it public knowledge that he could find no crime in him. He then made a bargain with the Jews to release one man, pardon one man for Passover. They demanded the release of a robber and thief over the innocent life of a man that committed no crime. Isn't this the very same analogy that we are seeing today all over this country? The guilty, such as BLM rioters, known anarchists, the guilty, they're being let out of jail with a free pass or not jailed at all. Yet, the innocent business owners can be jailed or silenced through intimidation for standing up for truth, righteousness, and justice. Known convicted felons, murderers, drug cartel members being set free under the falsehood, disguise of an unseen enemy, promoting lawlessness, perversion, murder to the innocent, and we are supposed to be okay with this? The way I see it is this. The people are dying at alarming rates unrelated to the current pandemic. If the threat was as horrific as the government reports, then why would anyone be allowed to cross our borders unvetted, unprotected, and be free to assimilate anywhere they want without protecting the citizens of the United States? I'm not talking about vaccine. I'm speaking about jobs, housing, violence, drugs, homelessness, child abuse, sex trafficking of children, murder of citizens by non-citizens, gang violence, spiritual bankruptcy. Citizens should have protections, unquestionable protections, as Paul was able to convey to his captors. Currently, we are seeing a degradation of our society that, frankly, I nor my ancestors have witnessed, possibly dating back to the Civil War. I dare say maybe even back as far as coming to this country by way of the Mayflower. Maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe I'm not reacting enough. The unconscionable path this country is headed is just sickening. We see people videotaping rapists in the act, then posting it to social media, texting the detestable act to friends, then laughing about it. Where are the real men and women? Where are the protectors? Where are the watchmen on the wall? Where are our righteous that will stand for truth and justice? I am one that shall chase 1,000, for the Lord my God is he who fights for me, as he promised me. I personalize that scripture in Joshua 23:10. Knowing God fights for me every minute of every day. My job is to do as he commands, for I serve at the pleasure of my King, Jesus Christ. I pray this message has touched you in some way. Feel free to message me. If you have a request for prayer, you can message me as well. You can go to Facebook at Pastor Beth at 121 Pastor Beth. Over and out God's way, this is Pastor Beth.